Hi, I'm really excited to be looking over your draft of your TED Talk outline for the speech that you're going to be giving later this month. I wanted to say that you're on your way to preparing a wonderful speech, and your audience is so lucky because I think this speech is going to be really valuable. You have a lot of information, a lot of good things to teach them. Your attention getter, I think, just right off the bat, so just moving right into what you've prepared for your introduction. I think your attention getter is outstanding. I think most human beings have felt awkward or confused in some sort of communication situation in your life. So that'll help you establish common ground and probably also help your audience to understand what value your talk will add to their lives. Your purpose statement is simple, straightforward, very clear. Except for one thing, I'm not quite sure what you mean by even subliminal messages here. So you might just clarify what it is, the idea that you're trying to communicate here, and maybe think about some different words that might more clearly represent that idea. I'm not sure, and I'm sorry I'm not understanding it. I'm trying to. so maybe some additional phrase or context would help there. But other than that, I think your idea is about the importance of listening in order to create understanding, and not only just simple, straightforward messages, but also those deeper, more complex messages that are an inherent part of our close relationships, and also a sign of the times as people are having harder conversations that they wish they didn't have to have are now occurring. So listening is an important element of that. Your preview of your main ideas, I think that you've done a really nice job of talking about active listening, relational listening, and a critical listening without using those terms, since your audience, at least at this point in the speech, is most likely not going to know about those terms. So outstanding job there. So your introduction is great, maybe a few little tweaks here and there, but you're definitely well prepared for your upcoming speech. Now, you have a transition to your body, outstanding. And so moving on to the body, you have your three main ideas, and you start including different facts and different elements that you want to share for to help you elaborate on those main ideas and help you to teach what they are and how to do them to your audience. One thing I did notice when I'm looking at your supporting material is that you have a lot of facts. And you do have examples, which is outstanding, because when people are learning something new, including those examples will really help them to understand, because they can take something that they already know about and then link it and make those kind of connections in their brain to the new material. So outstanding work. But again, the one thing I've noticed is that I don't really see any of your sources. So this is a research presentation, and it's kind of similar to a research paper, and you're going to need to include, for this assignment, at least 5 sources. So definitely, if you haven't already, go to the library, get online. You can go to the DACC library page, so I'm just going to show it to you here. But when you go to the home page, you can click, let's see, if I go back to the home page, let's see, for students, so here's the home page, and there's library services right there on the tab. You can click on library, and you go over here and find sources. There's articles, ebooks, a whole bunch of things. I recommend clicking on articles, and then in your search, you can put active listening. Let's see what comes up. So there's effective strategies for communicating and listening, and communication that occurs between different cultures, how to lead, effective listening and educational practices. So you can see there's a ton of information out there, and it'll be your challenge to kind of filter out and see what it is that will apply directly to your bullying and interrupted. Interesting. Anyway, sorry. There's a whole bunch of information out there, and you can tell I'm genuinely interested in it as I'm going to go ahead and start clicking on some of these sources. But they're there for you to explore. hopefully that's helpful. You probably already have some sources, so I'm not sure if that was helpful, but I just thought I would pass it along just in case it was. And so you're going to want to include those sources in your explanation and your supporting material for each of your main ideas. And not only are you going to want to write them in there, but you're going to want to say them too. So you can just use a phrase like according to doctors, blah, 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 in their article titled blah, 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 blah in 2017. And so that's a way that you can bring those phrases, that phrasing into your speech. And anyway, the reasons why you want to include those verbal citations in your presentation is your audience isn't going to have a chance to see your preparation notes. So the only way you can communicate to them that you've done this research is to include the information in your talk. And doing this will help establish your credibility to your audience. It'll help you to avoid plagiarism. And it'll also show your audience how your ideas connect to other scholars, how your ideas build on previously established ideas or connect. And that's always good, especially if you are hoping audience members might explore or do some of this research on their own later and get inspired. Now, I think it's really interesting that you brought in David Bowie. This is David Bowie, right? Let me go back to the source that you have here. Yeah, I think it is. Is there another Bowie? Not in my book, apparently. But it's interesting that you have this source, The Guardian, here, and you include this quote. I'm not quite sure off the bat how it relates to critical listening, so go ahead and give a little bit more context here. And it looks like you're just kind of working on this, kind of starting to puzzle it out here, and you'll continue working and developing that for your final presentation, of course. But give us a little bit more detail about I think you're making an important idea here. Just not quite sure how it connects to critical listening, so a little help would be awesome. And then you have this nice quote from Duncan McMahon too. So you have your sources kind of coming in there for your last main idea, which is awesome to see. Now, for your conclusion, let me find it here. You do summarize your main ideas again. So you're telling your audience what you're going to say in the intro, and this will help them to focus and know what to listen to. You have the body where you really elaborate, really teach us about it. And then your conclusion where you remind us what you just said. And that's important to help us remember. So outstanding work. And you definitely want to write this out, how you plan to say it to your audience. You revisit your purpose statement, and then you end with a quote, which is outstanding. You might think about mentioning David Bowie here again in your conclusion, or figuring out a way to perhaps potentially end on a more creative, powerful note, since you're already including those elements in the body of your presentation. It's up to you. You're the artist, and I know that you'll do a great job finishing up these preparation notes to help you give a really successful speech. Do you know what presentation aids you're thinking about including? For this speech, you're going to need 2. Usually speakers use a PowerPoint and a handout. This kind of the standard combination a lot of presenters use. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can have a poster, you can use video clips. If you do decide to use a video clip, do keep in mind that you need to speak for at least 5 minutes, because your speech is 5 to 7 minutes, but you have a couple of minutes there that you can use for those video clips. And usually 30 seconds to 45 seconds tends to fit well when you're giving a 5 to 7 minute speech. But anyway, that's an option. Props, it's really just up to you and your creativity and what you think will work well in the environment that you're going to be speaking in, and to the audience that you're going to be giving your speech, because when it all comes down to it, you're really doing this, for a class, of course, but also because you have the goal of teaching your audience something important, like active listening, relational listening, and critical listening. All right, I think like I've said before, you're on your way to preparing a great speech. I'm excited to see it, and I wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. Send me a message through Canvas inbox. I'm always glad to talk more, and I'm excited about your 2 songs here. 2 songs, your 2 sources, and just wanted to remind you that you need 5 for the speech. All right, All right, you got this.